this next feature that we're adding into live, I came across an Instagram ad for them, fell in love with their branding, and was like, yeah, we gotta talk to them. Hey,
Hello.
how are
Hi.
you?
Great. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. I'm so
You guys
good.
do know what you're doing, by the way. Don't be lying. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Thank you. Everyone, this is Chris. And Chris is the owner or co-owner of Surje Coffee Co. So,
Yeah.
Chris, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about Surje, just like hype yourself and Surje up.
Now I don't know what I'm doing. Um, yeah, my girlfriend Valerie and I, we met a few years ago, and we neither of us were in coffee. By trade, she is market research, and I do occupational safety. And coffee was a topic we bonded over, and we both hinted at each other that we had aspirations to start some kind of a coffee business. We didn't know what that looked like. We knew we both wanted a coffee shop. And in about a year and a half after dating, we were just hanging out one day and probably watching Netflix. And we like kind of started talking about it, and we're like, let's do it. So we turned off the Netflix. We plugged in the laptop to the TV, and we had the big screen up, and we just were like, all right, let's start typing. And we just started typing a business plan and trying to figure out what the business was going to look like. So we wanted to open a coffee shop, and we started doing all the research, and then the pandemic happened. So we went back to the drawing board, and we decided we wanted to become roasters instead and kind of start there. So we bought a little kitchen roaster from Amazon, and we started making terrible coffee, and we drank it all ourselves one day at a time because we didn't want to throw it away. But some we did throw away because it just was unbearable. But we just started practicing and practicing and practicing, and then eventually, that one batch where you're like, whoa, that's not bad. And then we just kind of went from there. And then we started to build the business out. We, her sister is a graphic designer, so we started to conceptualize the logo, talked about what we wanted our branding to be like. A lot of what we didn't know too much about coffee, but we were both very big on experience. So we started to work backwards. We're like, okay, what kind of experience do we want? And do we as coffee consumers like when we experience it? And how can we work backwards from there in our branding, in our coffee, in the different services we plan to offer? And that's kind of where we ended up. So now we roast coffee. We have some subscriptions for people for home roasting. We supply to other up-and-coming coffee shops that don't roast their own beans, but they do pop-ups and stuff too. We just this year started to do private events. So we have our coffee cart that we set up at private events. We started to also host some coffee experiences like French press tasting classes. And we're just bootstrapping it and doing what we can, trying to move along to get to our ultimate goal, which is to have a coffee shop and then eventually multiple with different elements and vibes to them, and to have that true vision of a coffee shop experience, which is different than what we have now. I really like what hipster culture did to coffee. That's kind of how I got exposed to it, and Val got exposed to it. It gave us great coffee, which is great. There's some unbelievably good roasters out there. But there's still this element of get in there, grab your paper cup, and sprint. Get out of there. Like,
Yeah.
there's no, like, it doesn't, the experience of the coffee shop doesn't marinate over you, and you have to like sit down and experience it and interact with people and have that coffee shop experience blossom into other facets of your life. You're studying for exams, you're having business meetings. Like we envision the coffee shop being a place where so many different parts of your life you can point back to it. Be like, oh, where'd you meet this person? At Surje Coffee. Oh, where'd you get this business deal done? At Surje Coffee. You know, we want that to be the community spot where people go and have different experiences and get shit done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. And I love listening to you talk about it. And even when we were in your interview and having like dinner together and stuff, just hearing you and Val talk about why you even started this was like beautiful. And the way also you guys just like talk about it together was awesome because you can see the heart like for a lifestyle, like a culture change, not just like in coffee, but in throughout like a person's life, you know? And I think that that is like, yeah, I love that. Bring back the coffee shop lifestyle. Yeah, I love it. I think like it's yeah, it's beautiful. I love what you guys are doing. I'm so excited for all the like well deserved attention that you have already been getting since you've started. And the one thing I did want to actually, if you don't mind touching on this, I love how you have incorporated your Armenian culture and Val's Mexican culture into an American coffee shop. You know, like, can you talk a little bit about that and how you've done that too?
Well, the name, it starts with the name. So, Surj in Armenian is how you say coffee. I actually, before I even met Val, when I wanted to open a coffee shop, I opened my notes in my iPhone and I had just, you know, notes of different names and names of coffee drinks that I would like to have. And when I pitched Surj to Val, she really liked it. And we were like, well, that's kind of hard for people to pronounce. But we're like, oh, we could call it Surge, you know, a little play on words. We'll spell it with a J. It's like a surge of caffeine. And that's kind of how
Love
the
it.
name came to be. And coffee was such a big part of my life in Armenian culture. And, you know, most people know the Turkish coffee. It's in the Middle East, that's how you drink coffee. But yeah, in Armenian culture, we drink it the same way. And that it was always, I can't remember my earliest memories of, let's say, waking up and going to the living room is my mom, dad, aunts, and uncles having coffee, like for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for dessert. It was just always there. um, and Val's experience was the same too. There were so many different coffee drinks in Mexican culture that you don't really see in American coffee, but it's popular in other parts of the world, especially when you travel, you see it. So we're like, all right, well, how can we incorporate more of our cultures into this and lure people in? So we had the name, even our logo. It pays homage to, you know, there's a hipster component to it too, but the skull is also pays homage to Mexican culture and Dia de los Muertos. And the colors of our logo, it's parts of the Armenian flag and the Mexican flag blended together. Like we were really, really intentional with incorporating our culture, but we also, there's a time and place for it to be in your face. So we want it to be subtle when it's appropriate and in your face when it's appropriate. You know,
Yeah.
you don't need to force it down anybody's throat. You know, just be authentic and true in how you're portraying your brand. Some people will get it, some people won't, and that's fine. Maybe they'll like the coffee and that's all they need, you know? So you just kind of have to, you know, be humble in what you're doing, but also do it in a way where you get personal satisfaction out of it, because I
Yeah.
do, because there's not a lot of Armenians in specialty coffee. A lot of people started to reach out and be like, oh my God, I can't believe there's an Armenian in coffee. I've always wanted to get into it.
Hmm.
How did you start? And so it's nice to see that cultural and community aspect of it is resonating with people.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah. And I think too, just like the way you even talk about in your branding and how intentional you've been with incorporating both of your cultures into that, from an outside perspective, it's just like another layer of how you've poured like who you are into what you're doing. And I think that that's incredible. it's like creative and cool, but it's also really, really purposeful and meaningful. So I love what you guys are doing. Before we let you go, could you just like shout out anything that you guys have coming up or anything exciting for you?
Yeah. So we're gonna go on a little hiatus. So we're taking 2 weeks vacation. We're gonna go check out some
Yes.
coffee farms in Costa Rica. But when we get back, we're doing a cocoa and Santa. So we're gonna do hot cocoa for the kids that are gonna. It's like a Christmas tree lighting party, and there's gonna be a Santa there. So we're gonna set up our coffee cart there at that event. That's the biggest thing we have on the docket. We're also gonna launch. Oh yeah, this probably on Monday. We'll launch our holiday bundles. So if you want to gift any kind of like coffee bundles to people for the holidays, we'll launch that next week. We're gonna have a French press kit with everything pre-measured, the actual French press, a recipe card, a QR code to a YouTube video
Nice.
tutorial. So it'll be a nice, fun coffee gift. And then we're also doing a house-made cafe de olla kit for people to make cafe de olla in their homes with everything pre-made. And Val's yelling at me. We also have a pop-up. We have a pop-up at Collins and Coop Bar Supplies in North Park. It's on El
So
Cajon.
cool.
They're going to do a Small Business Saturday. That's going to be the Saturday after Thanksgiving next week. There's going to be a ton of people there. So if you want to come and get some cool bar supplies, cool cups, syrups, bitters, and have some coffee, we're going to have um, we're making drinks that are going to be specific to that event only. We're going to use some of the syrups that the bar has, and we're going to concoct some out of the usual coffee drinks. For example, we're going to have a rosemary gingerbread bitter latte.
Ooh,
So yeah,
yes.
we're trying to like bring some of the cocktail vibes to coffee and kind of see how that goes. So
I
come
love
by
that.
next Saturday.
Yes, yes. Everyone go. And also go follow Surge on Instagram and go subscribe to their subscription, their coffee subscription. Support them because they totally deserve it. So thank you so much for your time,
Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you. I was just reading some of the magazine too. The issue looks phenomenal. You guys killed
Thank
it. Awesome
you.
job. Amazing.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your time.
See ya.
Bye. All right. Well, I think we're gonna see if our last feature is here. If not, then I'm just gonna tell you about them because they're amazing. We had first of all, Surge Coffee. Let me just to finish my little introduction of them because Val, you're amazing. Thank you so much. We adore you guys, and it was an honor to tell your story. We can't wait to see what's next. You got so much coming up that I'm stoked for. So, but yeah, I literally found them on Instagram, and it was so funny when I told them that they were like, "Our ads are working," and I was like, "Yes, they brought you to the right person."
Yeah.
Like, all I ever wanted was to be brought to Surge Coffee on Instagram, honestly. But yeah, they like I loved their branding, but then that also like drew me into looking into, about them and their mission and their heart and stuff. And the moment I went to their website and read through their about page, I was like, oh, these are cool people. Like these people are like doing something that really matters that people should know about, that I want to shout from the rooftops. And then also as a coffee lover, I'm like, okay, coffee with like a purpose that is like beyond coffee. Love it. It's like one of my favorite things. So go check them out. If you're free next Saturday, go to their pop-up because I've had their coffee and I loved it. So do it. And then go say hi and give them a